What's going on, Mr. Matty Moses here? I've got an awesome interview. I'm really stoked to get to you guys interviewing the legend Eric Dubay. We'll be talking about the Flat Earth movement album he dropped in 2017. We think we're not really. We'll finalize the year for that later as we talk about it a little bit more. But I'm just really pumped to talk to you about your musical influences, what really, inspired you, compelled you to make this album, and the music itself and some of those inspirations. But, Eric, thank you so much for doing this interview, man. A lot of love for the work that you've done, and just, you keep pushing through, and I really appreciate that. And I know we really appreciate that. So, how are you and what's going on over there?
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm doing well. I appreciate everything you've been doing as well.
Well, thank you.
Everything's going pretty well, providing all the stupid COVID nonsense and all that. But yeah,
Yeah.
doing fine.
Oh man. Okay. I will definitely ask you some COVID stuff too. I'm excited
Oh yeah,
to see.
you want to get the interview banned right off the bat,
Yeah. How many disclaimers can they fit? How many Wikipedia links
right?
can they fit? Flat Earth. I laughed at the first thing they're like, flat Earth, the archaic notion that I was like, whatever, dude, whatever. Like, let's just. I could keep going.
Totally. They put
It's
those under all my videos, and they've banned all my COVID videos. You just breathe the word coronavirus, and your video is gone.
Oh yeah, it's nuts the amount of control that they have too, and it just goes to show you, that they don't ban nonsense, like they don't censor nonsense, right? That's what they're trying to kind of do with us. It feels like, and yeah, I'm really excited. So I'll start. Okay, let's go back. Were you just kind of making music when you were younger? Was it the typical hearing guy, Eminem, or who are some of your influences, or what really drew you to hip hop as the art form for this album?
Um, yeah, well, music originally, like I played guitar and piano growing up. I played clarinet in a band. Then I just got into other stuff. I bought like an accordion and harmonica and just any musical instruments I could get my hands on and just was playing with them. I actually played guitar in a hardcore heavy metal band when I was like 17 to 19 years old.
Those are the perfect years to be into heavy metal, like, aren't they? Like,
Totally.
that teenage
Yeah.
angst and aggression, like, is so perfect. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I still to this day love that genre of music.
Yeah.
I've been making a playlist lately on YouTube, just Eric's favorite songs, and said I've got a pretty eclectic mix from indie to hip hop to hardcore, which seem to be the three main types of music that I enjoy listening to. So I've been putting a bunch on there. If people go to my channel and check out Eric's favorite songs, you'll see a bunch of my favorite bands, artists, and whatnot. So my original influences were varied, mostly like indie and hardcore. I did start getting into hip hop though, kind of in my 20s, um, and I was into poetry. I'm an English and philosophy major in college, so lyricism was more the part of hip hop that I've always been interested in, and I've been writing poetry since I was a kid. So
Sure.
hip hop is just kind of like poetry to music. Um, so really, I kind of came in at a different angle. So musically, I was elsewhere, and then I was writing poetry. But then when you put poetry and music together, it's just hip hop seems to be the genre that works. And then once I came across Flat Earth and everything, and actually had a real message to say, which I didn't before in any of my music. Most of my music I was doing before, I'd never have lyrics because I couldn't think of. Well, I'm a bad singer, first of all. I can rap, but I can't sing. Don't
Yeah.
ask me to sing anything. Well, I
Yeah.
can't even really rap, to be honest. But I can, I can write. That's what I'm pretty good at.
Uh,
I can write poetry, and then I try to rap it to music, and that's what you get. It's the Eric Dubay style of rap.
I love
It's
it.
pretty rough.
I think that's the beauty of hip hop, though, right? Like, it's so unique, and you have the musical background to understand the meters, and you're on beat. Nothing I've ever heard or listened to was off or awkward or like even weird timing. So I mean, you've got that going for you, man. That's that is so cool,
Thanks.
though. that.
add that with the cringy white boy flow I've got, and it just barely passes for listenable.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. And isn't it so tough? Like, I'm sure maybe you had this when you were first recording yourself or listening to it a bajillion times as you're mixing and messing around with it. Just like, oh, it can be so tough to hear my own voice. Like, it's like I'm so surprised anyone plays any of my music, and I don't even have that much of a reach. But it's like, wow, you're okay with this?
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I get a lot of positive and negative comments about my voice. Eric Dubay, the monotone voice that will wake you up and then put you right back to sleep. A lot of people say they can't even watch my videos because of my voice. Like,
Oh my
Eric,
gosh.
put some inflection in your voice, man. Then other people are like, dude, I love your voice. It's so calming. I just watch your videos on repeat to put myself to sleep at night.
It is great.
So,
It is very calming. That's the approach very calming and like, okay, yeah, this is really good. Oh, my wife gives me so much crap for how monotone my voice is. And like, I try to do any inflection and it even comes across as trying. They're like, it's just, this doesn't sound right. I don't
that's
know.
it, man. Like when you hear me do my monotone monologues, that's actually me trying to put a lot of inflection in. Like if I've tried to put more in, and it seems silly. Like I sound like a commercial, for decades. Like I can't do it. Like it sounds like it's somebody else
Oh my
when
gosh.
you're trying to put more inflection than your natural voice.
Yeah.
So I hear you. I've tried,
Yeah.
but I just can't. I can't not be me, people.
Right, and that's the biggest thing, and that's what when people I started hearing about rap voice and this, and like I started to notice it with Everlast from his first album to his second album. Like, why does he sound so different? My friends and I would kind of joke about it, where he was trying to sound really grimy and stuff. It was just like, why is he? But yeah, I never thought of a rap voice. I'm like, this is who I am. This is how I talk. But this is how I'm gonna rap or rhyme. Like, yeah, it is really tough. But
Yeah, that works. But some people can really do a rap voice and have like a whole different sound and quality to their voice, and have it not seem fake or put on in any way. Whereas myself, just anything I try that's not my actual voice just sounds ridiculous to me.
yeah.
Maybe to others it wouldn't, but yeah, it doesn't pass my own sniff test, so it won't get out there.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Oh, that's so cool. And then, so for this album, did you made all these beats?
No, I made everything on the Dubay Step album.
Oh, okay.
All those.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm actually working on like an album. I think it'll be an album eventually.
Yeah.
I got the name from a friend of mine who calls me Epic Dubay. Just replace the R with a P.
Okay.
And so I'm making like these kind of like trap mixed with epic orchestral beats.
Nice.
And
Okay.
so I'm thinking I'll do an album of epic trap type of music.
Okay.
It's all through and call it Epic Dubay.
Debate, dude, that's awesome, man. Like, it's funny how an idea like that can spark so much motivation or inspiration. And it's just like, boom, psh, like, oh, 10 songs. I could easily come up with 10 songs. Like, that's awesome. That's so
that
cool,
was
that
halfway
creativity.
through. The Dubay stuff actually came about almost the same way. I've always liked dubstep, and then
Yeah.
the name came to me, and I was like, oh, that's a cool name. I was like, I wonder if I could make dubstep music. And then, so the drive to do that is what started me, because I love dubstep music. I love epic orchestral music. So that's what's gotten me doing those. And I've made a couple rap beats. I'm just not very good at them, to be honest. Like just straight hip hop sounding beats. I haven't made anything that great. So the beats on Seth and I's album and the beats on my album, most of those are, all of those are bought. They're just
Okay. Yeah, that is
beats
that's so much easier to match the mood and tempo of a beat. You're like, okay, I want this to be angry, aggressive, boom. Goyim Revolution. Like, I can't wait to talk about that one too. Which was the first song that you wrote for that? What ended up being the album? Did you have was the album there? Was there a song where like, you know what, I need to capture all these points about flat Earth, and then you expanded on it? What did that end up being?
Yeah, the first rap. I mean, I made one previous rap verse that I tried like years ago, and I never released it because it was never good enough. But
Sure.
I thought, like, yeah, it's, has potential. It was like, give myself a half a pat on the head, like maybe one day, Eric, but not this day. So that was my first attempt, and the second attempt actually is, to this day, I think it's still probably the most popular song I've ever done. The first one is Once You Go Flat, There's No Going Back.
Sure. Okay. Once you go flat. Sure. I was even reading some of the reviews on Amazon, and people were like, I'm not a flat earther, but I listened to Once You Go Flat on repeat, like that they kind of like it. I don't know if they're making fun of it or not, but it's hard to tell, but they liked it. They left you a good review.
Yeah, the nature of my rapping, like I have this kind of thing where I mix serious truth with really ridiculous comedy. So a lot of people just think I'm trolling, which is another thing, and it actually baits them in. Like I wouldn't want people to think I'm trolling because I'm absolutely serious.
Right.
They figure that out pretty quickly once they move into anything besides my rap music. Mm-hmm. But when I am rapping, it's something to do with the whole cringy white boy flow thing. I can't go 100% serious and take myself 100% seriously. So I have to like throw in comedy there because I feel like what I'm doing is kind of ridiculous on some level. Just the whole thing, like
sure.
I don't know if it's cultural appropriation or what do you want to call it, but yeah, it doesn't feel 100% natural for me to be rapping, but it is fun.
Yeah,
I like listening to it. Other people have had a good response. It gets the word out there.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Also, is that like I haven't put out any other music other than this stuff that has a message. It's like that's the real drive, is that I want to put out content that spreads these important truths, especially flat earth, because I consider that to be the most important, groundbreaking truth that blows open people's minds so that they can start to realize the fact that you need to relearn pretty much everything that you thought you knew.
Yeah.
And music is this great way of repetition. You know how effective repetition is. So if you can get a message out there in a way that people want to just click play. Another thing is people can play it loud when they're in their car, or I have people that play it at jiu-jitsu studios with their friends and all this, and they're getting subliminal messages out to their friends who are walking along to this music, and then they find out halfway through, they're like, flat earth? Wait, what? They talk to their friends about it. Yeah, pulling Eddie Bravo, like, look it up.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Always happens because the music gets stuck in their head, and then they want to see, like, but what is this? Why is my friend rocking this stuff? So there's a lot of benefit that music has in subliminally and kind of indirectly waking people up.
Yeah, I think that's so great too. I noticed that right away with the 200 Proofs rap, where we had the one line, was it like the dry hymen line vagina or something like that? Like how tight the beat is like, yes, like, but I think that's perfect. It's a great approach. It's, I don't want to say like humbling, but like you're saying, where you're like, you have a sense of humor about it, right? It's like, let's go there with it. I think that's great.
That's the most fun part for me. Like when I came with that line, was it Earth's flatter than a fat cat on a mat, drier than a dry hymen line. No, tighter. This rhyme's tighter than dry hymen line. When that rhyme came into my head, I must have spent a good 2 minutes just laughing and looking at it like, oh, and then thinking like, I can't say that. That's kind of, does that cross a line? No. I can say it. It's funny. It's funny. Oh, let's go with it. So many rap. In Blood Rituals, the Jews are bad, and all these other lines that I'm coming up with. I laugh my ass off, and then I look at it, I'm like, oh, I can't say that. But I said it. I wrote it. Let's just do it. And now it's out there. Now I can't unsay all of these things. But I don't know. They're just, it's all in good fun, as well as trying to get people to just spark a little, if that emotionally or intellectually triggers you. That was my point. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's
That's what I
great.
wanted to do.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome approach, and I've had to catch myself with anything similar where it's like, oh, I'm starting to get like butterflies or this like knee jerk reaction. It's like slow down, like okay, understand like what's either getting you flustered or frustrated, like what is making you have emotions towards this. Whether it's a commercial or something you see where it's I get that with Reddit is just terrible for always having the propaganda. And I'm sure it's all on your radar, but just the other day I saw they had a meme and they get like 16,000, 20,000 upvotes. It's like front page. It's so frustrating. It's this corny like, oh, flat earthers think this is what the bombing of Pearl Harbor was or whatever. It's like that's I've commented and someone posted it on Facebook. This was years ago, the first time I saw it, and I right away I'm like, that's not what they think. I'm like, that's not what it is. And I put the little UN flag. I'm like, it'd be shorter on a flat Earth map. Like you guys aren't making any sense. And then actually they were pretty civil because it was like guys like I worked with somewhat, like not necessarily, I wasn't really close with them, but I did end up having someone who was probably flat curious, and we had a pretty good conversation about it afterwards. Once I kind of broke it down, like some of it is just so over the top.
I've tried to post on Reddit. For years, I've never gotten a single post above like 2 or 3 upvotes.
Yeah.
And like you're saying now, a anti-flat Earth post is able to get thousands of upvotes. Like, yeah. That's definitely not organic. There's certainly something behind the scenes going on there at Reddit.
Yeah.
And that particular flat Earth meme you're talking about, I've recently gotten like 3 or 4 people send that to me. Just flabbergasted. Like, if the Earth is flat, how did Japan bomb Pearl Harbor? Like,
yeah.
What? Like, I don't even understand the question. And like you said, when you put it on a flat Earth map, like the path from Japan to Hawaii is clearer than it is when they put it on a globe and then they make like this long curve or whatever. It's like, I don't even understand your question.
Yeah.
Are you trying to prove flat Earth? It makes more sense if you put it on the flat map.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, yeah, that's why we had no idea. They didn't like fly over America and then hit like Hawaii. It was like, dude. So each one little thing, and I think that's what's so great about what you're seeing with the music and flat Earth in general is that how it really is the one that completely destroys the foundation. It completely shatters the paradigm, and then you have to, like you said, relearn. Because it's like, oh, you can have questions about the moon landing, or I talked about like JFK with my buddy the other day, but you'll always have questions about JFK because you'll never have the whole truth. Where every day you could wake up and you could go see like, oh yeah, do the different tests. Water doesn't curve, all these different things. Stick to a spinning ball, like very easy, simple things, and that's what I think is so great with the message you put out in your music too.
Flat Earth is twofold great because of that. Like, not only is it the biggest deception possible, so it's the biggest lie in history, but it's also the easiest to prove.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, how great is that? We don't have to flounder around looking into all these friggin' rabbit holes that nobody can ever get to the bottom of, like the JFK assassination that people are still researching 50 years later and have theories left, right, and center. I don't even know, man. I still entertain theories that he didn't even die and it was a fake death, or who knows. It's so inconclusive that we really can't even get to the bottom of that one, just like many other conspiracies, even though they are. The thing with conspiracies is you can get to the point where you know that it's a conspiracy. You can get to the point where you can debunk the official explanation, so you know that whatever they're saying is wrong. The hard part is getting to what is actually right.
Right.
And you can debate and research down those rabbit holes forever. With the flat Earth, the great part is you can debunk the globe in a weekend. And then the next week you can spend doing backyard experiments where you can prove to yourself that we are motionless and there is no curvature to the Earth. Right. So you can find out for yourself, empirically, objectively, the truth about the shape of the Earth, which then opens up this whole new world where you realize, well, that means this is wrong, that's wrong, evolution and all these other things.
Right.
And again, I'm not saying, I don't have beliefs. I have a strong thing against belief, which is usually where people jump into the second they don't they don't know the answer for something, they look for an authority figure who has no, what's the word, just 100% confidence in some answer, regardless of whether they can actually prove that answer. So,
Right.
for instance, Big Bang. There's no empirical evidence of a Big Bang. Nobody can prove that that is what happened. It's just a theory. But
Sure.
you've got all these astrophysicists writing books and giving lectures with 100% confidence saying, this is what happened. We know it mathematically, scientifically, whatever, and they use all the right words.
Right.
But really, it's just power of authority, the fallacy of authority, and people like, what's that alien show? I want to believe.
Oh yeah, X-Files, right?
X-Files.
Yes,
I feel like every conspiracy people are like that. They're just like, they get like sparkles in their eyes, and they're like, I want to believe in Bigfoot and aliens and everything. It's like, I'm the opposite. I want to not believe. Like, I just don't believe. And people are like, you don't believe in dinosaurs? It's like, yeah, I just don't believe. But what about this? But what about that? It's like, no. I just don't believe. Right. Don't frame me into this. So you believe that this is a fake and this is a fake. No. I'm staying skeptical.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
And these other people who supposedly are skeptics, like the mainstream skeptics, like what are those ones called, Mythbusters,
sure.
and the Amazing Randy, and these other people. They get the name skeptic, but all they do is promote the mainstream version of reality. So they're the absolute opposite of a skeptic. A skeptic is someone who doesn't buy hook, line, and sinker whatever theory or evidence is being proposed and waits to corroborate evidence and figure it out for themselves. I have a special place in my brain for things that aren't conclusive, where they're able to just jumble in with any other evidence from the left, right, or center that happens to come along. And if I wasn't, I would never have been able to figure out flat Earth. I mean,
sure.
I spent years. It took, most people nowadays, it's easy to figure out flat Earth. When I was trying to figure it out, the only information available was from like 150-year-old books and
right.
False information on the Flat Earth Society website,
sure.
which I had to like debunk for myself.
Yeah.
So it took me literally years to come to the conclusion that the Earth is flat and motionless, whereas people now, because the information has now been updated and repackaged in a way that it's really palatable and easy to figure out, people are able to wake up some people have said they've woken up within, a video. They just knew it intuitively, and then they just needed to confirm it, which obviously it's anybody that wakes up after one video, it's almost it's too fast. Hold on.
Yeah.
But it is true. I mean, intuitively, you don't feel that you're moving. Intuitively, you've never seen a curve. You've never felt yourself upside down on the earth or whatever, all these things. So, I mean, our natural common sense and experience is a flat, motionless earth. So people who are in touch with their intuition and in touch with their feelings, rather than in touch with the intellectual indoctrination they've received their entire lives, are able to kind of get a glimpse when they're like, wow, I kind of thought this was real, actually. And then they get a few points of evidence that back it up, and it's like, they don't go to sleep that night.
Yeah.
I sure didn't.
No, that's definitely what happened to me too. And I remember the awe I was in when I took the time to Google, pictures of Earth from space, and everything was cartoons. I was just, I turned my phone, I closed the screen on my phone. And I just took a break. I was just like, this is exactly what he said would happen. And like satellites, because right before Flat Earth, I was looking, a guy at work was telling me about I don't think it was the Black Knight, but it was like this dark black satellite that was the Russian. It was like a big thing like that. He was like, oh, check out this. And then that is what got me into your videos and the Flat Earth stuff. Like it was YouTube was recommending. And I was like, oh, cool. Click,
Back in the day. The good old days.
Back in the good old days, yeah, for real. Yeah, it's nuts now. Even I have typed it because I sampled your video on dinosaurs for that prehistoric rhetoric, and that if I type in the exact title of it, it won't show up on YouTube. I have to go back to my favorites, find it, click it. I'm like, I typed in because I think it's called like dinosaurs never existed or something like that. Like Eric Dubay, dinosaurs never existed. Boom, it's not the first thing that comes up. It's all like someone critiquing it, someone talking about this, like dinosaurs are real. You know what I mean? Just like, and one thing too that's so funny with dinosaurs, and I think people are being a little bit more open-minded with the idea of dinosaurs or what they look like, because I've seen where they're like they'll take like rhinoceros bones and be like, you know, or like have someone who's never seen one draw like, oh, what do you think these bones would look like? And they draw these complete freaks of nature and like, no, this is a rhinoceros. This is like a real creature that looks nothing like what you drew from what the bones are based like, you know. So they're guessing, and like you said, they're saying it with authority. So like with the Big Bang, they always have exact numbers, and that was the first thing that always was like fishy to me when they were like, oh, 66 million years ago, whatever. It was like, so it's not 65 and a half, 64.2. You know, it's 66 exactly. I'm like, that's not that. There's no way. There's no fractions in the world that they live in, I guess, or whatever. It's like whatever. So that was a red flag, you know. And then it gets worse, and they say it like that is factual, and then it changes, and then people are quick to like, well, that's science. Science changes it as we get more information. I'm like, yeah, but like 2 years ago, you guys were pretty sure that Pluto was a planet, and now it changed. Like, that was another red flag. I'm like, you know, the effect it has on the Earth, or it doesn't, you know, I don't know. We could keep going down that road with it, but definitely all red flags.
Absolutely. They give these really specific figures for all their theoretical nonsense to make it seem like it's not theoretical. It's like, oh, we've got mathematical equations, and that's all they've got is mathematical equations. And the equations that they plugged their numbers into gave them those numbers, and so now they're sure that that's what it is. But for mathematical equations to have any relevance on reality, they have to be referencing an actual natural phenomenon, something that actually tangibly exists that you can measure. And for instance, with the distance to the sun, they're not doing that. Nobody's ever gone to the sun, so you have no idea. They're just plugging it into a formula and getting new numbers every time.
Right.
So when they first came up with the heliocentric formula, the first figure for how far the sun away was like a very specific number starting with 3 million. 3,600,000, blah, blah, blah. The next one was a very specific number starting with 12,500,000, 7, whatever. And then it was Newton would say, he had that quote where he was like, it doesn't matter whether it's 26 million or 54 million miles away. Okay? And from there on, it was,
well, that was pretty scientific.
It actually went up to like 104 million miles away back in the early 1900s, and then they reined it into the current figure of 93 million, which they've been sticking with that for a while. But exactly, they do that. Oh, with star distances, those are ridiculous. They could talk about red shifting and blue shifting, and so apparently based on the hue, the color of the star, if it's, I forget which is which, but if it's, say it's red, then that means it's moving away from us, and if it's blue, it's moving towards us based on the space-time expansion from the Big Bang. And based on the exact hue, they know that this one is 4.2 trillion light years away, and that one is how far away and where they're going. But I can look out at most of the stars with a camera or a telescope and see them flicker and blink between red, blue, green, yellow, and every other color every split second. If you look at Sirius or Vega, there's a bunch of stars that are multicolored, and anytime you look at them, they're switching between colors all the time. So their claim that stars are some consistent color that they can measure and get perfect distances on them based on their color and hue, again, theoretical nonsense, but presented to us with authority and exact figures right down to the decimal point, so it seems legit. And everybody just buys it because most people that's how we get used to getting information in school, is via authority. We don't get taught evolution and intelligent design, and then you get to choose, and third-party explanations, say, and then you get to critique and choose. No. We get taught evolution, and you have to write, everything that Darwin said down on the test, or you get an F. So it's all about regurgitating arguments from authority. I don't get the option of saying the Earth is flat, or dinosaurs didn't exist, or the Holocaust didn't happen. I never had those options in school. I had to say all of those things happened, all of those things existed, or fail out of school. So the way we're educated is not true education. We're not learning how to take on new information, actually how to discern new information. We're learning how to memorize and regurgitate any old information, be it true or false. The real important skill we're lacking is that discernment. How do you know which is true and which is false? And nobody's teaching that in school. No. The way you learn that is through learning logical fallacies, logic, rhetoric, logical fallacies. What do they call it? There's a word for it. The trivium, or there's a four. Trivium is the main one. But they took that out of schools, and then they just add all of these other subjects, which are info. So they take out of schools how to learn, and they put into schools what to learn. So you no longer know how to learn, but you can memorize all this random crap for 12 years and regurgitate it.
Yeah. Yeah, and how much of it is going over the same stuff you learned the last year, just to like re-ingrain it. It's like we were talking about Pearl Harbor. I mean, like I feel like every year you're learning about World War II. Instead of like, oh, World War I, and this is what else was happening in the world, or so on. It's like World War II. It's like seven. You have like seven.
Hitler's bad. 6 million Jews.
Yeah.
Same trigger words over and over again. You don't even learn anything new. It's always just about concentration camps, gas chambers, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, Auschwitz. Feel bad for the Jews. Hate Hitler. Yeah. Nazis are bad. There's no. I've never heard anything about that in any school book ever.
Right. Instead of like explaining any of the economic sides of it, or national socialism, or going into that, a lot of the just stripped down. Here's what you need to know going forward, and it's tough. Discernment wasn't even in my vocabulary until Flat Earth, and it was like, having to decide, or as more information comes out, and like I would take it in, so just learning. So when people were like, oh, aliens and this, or Bigfoot, I'd be like, I would just take it in. Or ghosts, I'd be like, just take it in. Like, okay, I don't know. Like kind of like I just didn't dive right into each one. Ancient Aliens was almost the breaking point, and that might be for a lot of people maybe, where it kind of took, you could go one way and it's like, oh, aliens and this, or otherwise it was kind of like, well, you're trying to connect too many dots maybe, or give too much credit. So you can kind of, as you start to look at that critically, or using your discernment, it's like, I don't know. So like, it's so funny to be full circle, where it's like more or less to the, aliens or demons or those different things, other dimensions instead of from other planets, but other possibilities. So do you, what else? I thought I was going to bring up one of the other ones too, but you have Pere Monsanto on Life on the Ball. Was that who reached out to who, or was that were you guys just on each other's radar?
Yeah, no, I was surprised with that one. I was on his radar, I guess, and he reached out to me, and we made that happen real fast.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Appreciated that very much. Oh yeah, that's a great one too, and I think because that was one of the ones that was in your videos. I don't know if it was at the end, or I thought there was something that was integrated, because I know your channels have been pulled down. We're talking about censorship a little bit. So how many have officially gotten pulled from YouTube, we'll say?
So I've had 3 entire channels banned. My first channel had 28 million views, over 135,000 subscribers. And then the 2 channels I've built since then have never gotten nearly that much. They just, start to creep up again and then axe them. And I've had now 35 videos banned. I've made about 350 videos in the past 10 years or something, and YouTube has perma-banned 35 of them. You can only find now on BitChute, LBRY, Brighteon, a few other places I'm uploading. If you go to ericdubay.com, what I'm doing now is I have a videos menu, and there's like 10 different video sharing sites on there besides YouTube. So for all these, and they're like the best, obviously the best ones, the best 35 videos I've made, you can only find them off YouTube.
Oh,
YouTube
sure.
just besides to axe all of the highest quality content, of course.
Yeah.
Not necessarily highest quality, but it is some of the stuff that you're not meant to know. Let's say those 35 videos are the stuff that the powers that be would really like to not have around.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I'll make sure I have some of the links in the description for this one off to the side too, just for visuals for people to see and go over and support that, because it is really tough trying to survive just on the knowledge and the research that you've done, that we do. We still have lives outside of it. People get so comfortable with the free information, and we want to share because we have, there's such a powerful message, or it's getting the truth, or uncovering lies, exposing lies, and so on, that but after so many years of it, right, it's like, well, it'd be nice to maybe put a little, put a couple seeds in the garden or whatever it may be. Do you so I'll talk seeds and stuff. So when were you first learning about veganism or the diet and challenging those ideas? Was that also like in your early 20s? What was that like?
Yeah, I've been vegan for 12 years now. That was one of the first kind of things, like I was waking up, quote unquote, 9/11 and health were kind of the 9/11 was the conspiratorial political awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And I right around that time just getting really into yoga, and so that's brings in compassionate eating and all that. So I was getting into both the ethical and the health side of veganism from my yoga training, and that was a slow transition for me as well. I went vegetarian before vegan, and I didn't even go vegetarian first. I got off of the bigger land animals first, so I just went off of beef, and then pork, and then chicken, and then I did all seafood other than fish, and then I got rid of fish, and then eventually I got rid of eggs and cheese and milk and all that as well.
Sure.
So now I just eat plants, and it's really the way to go. It's so simple. Like, people try to complicate it by looking into all of these other aspects of it, but nature has really made it simple. And the more I've looked into it and the more I've experimented with myself, I've proven to myself that it truly is that simple. We're not meant to eat animals or things that come from them, be it their milk, their menstruation, which is what eggs are, or their flesh. Everything that comes from plants, there's meat substitutes, stuff that tastes like Beyond Meat or plant meat, Let's Plant Meat. There's all these different brands that are coming out now, and it has the same taste, but it's made of much healthier ingredients. There's almond milk, soy milk, oat milk, pistachio milk I've been drinking. There's all of these great milks you never heard of.
Sure.
And I like most of them now, and I like all of them. Maybe back in the day I would have stood up for cow's milk, but I haven't even. Now the idea of drinking another species' milk just turns my stomach. That I can't imagine that I would enjoy cow's milk in the way I used to growing up.
Yeah.
So to me, all of the vegan alternatives now taste better to me than any of the stuff back in the day. Though I admit, I used to like all of it. I liked milk. I liked eggs.
Sure.
I liked the taste of all meat.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not give it up because I didn't like the taste. That was not part of it.
Sure.
So when people say, like, why do vegans eat mock meats, and why do you even, why do you eat fake cheese and all this? It's like, dude, I didn't stop eating that stuff because I don't like how it tastes. It's an ethical and a health stance. And when you get into the health, then they'll say, well, that stuff isn't healthy. And that's true. Though it is healthier than the versions they're still eating.
Right.
Some of these fake meats are actually better for you than the real meats, but are they healthy? No, I wouldn't go that far. You're always better off eating whole foods. So plant-based whole foods is the way to go. And you want to be pretty balanced about it too, because if you go off the deep end with like fruitarian or raw vegan, which I do promote, and if you do it right, it's actually the top of the mountain, really. Just eating fruit or just eating raw raw vegan. I've done it for stints before, and your energy is through the roof. I can barely
Oh,
sleep at night, so it becomes a
oh,
problem. Actually,
damn.
you have so much energy, you don't even really want to go to sleep or sit still.
Wow.
um,
Okay.
so, so for me, actually, just having some cooked food and grains, just like mellows me out and allows me to sleep at night. And
Sure.
um, so, so the way I look at it is a high carb, low fat vegan diet, high raw is the top of the mountain, and
Okay.
the higher raw you can do, the better. But it's not realistic for those reasons, as well as taste. Is some of the you just get bored of it, and just being in public when you go out with people or whatever. What are you going to bring a salad everywhere you go?
Right.
So it's kind of good to allow yourself a variety. And at first, like I said, instead of just okay, I'm going to go vegan and then cold, pun intended, cold turkey yourself into a vegan isn't
Yeah.
necessarily the way to go, because a lot of times people do that and then they'll have a craving and then they'll indulge in their craving and then they'll all right, and then they're back to the standard American diet.
Yeah.
And you should look at it more as a journey. Like I look at it as a mountain, and I'm always on the mountain. And the thing is, I know the top of the mountain is fruitarian or raw vegan. If you could sustainably make it happen, though,
Sure.
modern day world, most people you're not advised even to do that, because then you'll end up with certain deficiencies and stuff because you're not getting enough calories. The fruit doesn't have the nutrients that it should because of soil nutrient depletion and all this other
Oh,
stuff. So you're
sure.
trying to be pure,
Sure.
but your purity may actually be throwing you down another hole. So you're almost better off just going down the mountain a little bit to the balanced whole foods plant-based diet,
Yeah.
high carb, high raw, low fat, but allow yourself, to have some fake cheese and fake meats and whatever, at least that's where I'm at. That's what has worked for me for the past 12 years. I've gone
Yeah.
up the mountain a little bit, down the mountain a bit, but right about there near the summit where I stick with high raw, but not completely. High carb, don't go high fat. That's another thing. They're always promoting these high fat diets, and then they change the name. It goes from Atkins to paleo, primal, keto,
Yeah.
carnivore.
Yeah.
They update it all the time, but it's always a way to get you to eat a lot more fat and animal products and to tell you it's good for you. And all they do is tell you to not have carbs. So
Yeah.
you take the most essential of the three macronutrients: protein, fat, and carbs. Carbs is actually the most important one. It's
Hmm.
glycogen, glucose is what every cell in your body runs on, and every cell in your brain runs on is glycogen. And if you're
Sure.
just eating a fat-heavy diet, you actually have to go through a process. Forgetting the medical name for it right now, but it changes your fat into carbs, basically into glycogen that your cells can actually um, uh, digest.
Sure.
So same with eating protein secondhand through animal flesh. Where do animals get their protein? From plants.
Yeah.
So everybody that thinks like you need animals for protein, no, everything gets their protein from plants originally. And when you eat animals, all you're doing is getting it secondhand
Yeah.
through their flesh, and then you have to break it down into its original amino acids and constituents to be able to use it again.
Yeah.
So most things are actually more bioavailable and more nutrient dense in plant form. And so all this idea that you have to eat animals for all these various things, it's actually pseudoscience. And the more you look into it, you find that
Yeah.
they've done studies on everything, and the vegan doctors, the vegan experiments are coming out on top over and over again.
No, I think that's really great. I think forks over knives was definitely what shifted me to have less animal proteins. And like I wouldn't say I'm lactose intolerant, but it definitely my body knows when I've had some milk, dairy, whatever. So that was easier to cut out more or less. But yeah,
Everybody is technically lactose intolerant,
see,
is the thing.
yeah,
We call it a lactose intolerance if it gets to the point that you have symptoms,
mhm,
but everybody stops creating the enzyme lactase that we need to digest lactose when you're about 3 years old. We only create it because you're meant to digest your mother's milk, human milk. And so we naturally create that enzyme and we're able to digest it as a baby. But as a human adult, you're not meant to drink any species milk. The only
sure,
kind of milk that you should be drinking is coming from nuts.
Yeah. No, I think that's great, and that was a huge lesson for me to learn. And yeah, that forks over knives, and then it was Earthlings got me on the moral part, showing it when I'm like, oh wow, that's what it takes for them to make milk, huh? Like that was kind of just like, maybe I don't need milk and maybe I don't need cereal
Yeah.
today. It's like
It
that
doesn't
really.
actually do a body good.
Yeah, yeah, and
uh,
then
and
as you go
they
back,
say
right? Like how hard?
to drink it
No, but
for for calcium.
Mhm.
There's more calcium in like sesame seeds. There's 4 times more calcium in sesame seeds than there is in milk, for instance.
Yeah,
But milk is so acidic that it's been linked to osteoporosis, holes in your bones,
sure,
because what happens is your bloodstream cannot go below like a 7.3 acid level.
sure,
So anytime you're eating acidic foods like milk and meat and eggs and most animal products are acidic, your overall body alkaline goes down, and you have to leach calcium from your own bones into your bloodstream to make sure your blood stays alkaline.
man.
So people are drinking milk for the calcium, which it has some, but you're not even absorbing it, and you're leaching the calcium out of your bones because of the high acid in your diet. So you'd
Sure.
be way better off drinking plant milk and cutting out all animal products.
Hmm.
And then, if you're really concerned about calcium, you can just have sesame seeds or yellow peppers. There's a bunch of different
Yeah,
things that have way
calcium.
more calcium
I
than milk
thought
does. Even
spinach, but I could be wrong. Spinach might be iron.
spinach.
Yeah, I thought.
Yep, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, iron as well. Yeah,
that's,
and protein. I mean, there's so much
yeah,
protein in leafy green vegetables. People
yeah.
think you need meat. There's actually more protein in most leafy green vegetables.
I
Well, not I wouldn't say most, but
yeah.
in a few than there is in things like steak and
Hmm.
chicken and
Yeah,
whatnot that people are pounding for their protein.
yeah. And I love my mom to death, but I think she kind of fell for that because I was talking about protein. That's her big thing. Like, well, what are you gonna do for protein? It's like black beans, mushrooms, and then spinach. I think I listed her, something along those lines. She was like, "Well, I don't think mushrooms have protein." And then it was like white mushrooms have like a ton of protein in them. So it's just like it's
Every
there.
food on Earth actually has protein in it. They're and carbs and fat. So I mean,
Sure.
even lettuce or
Hmm.
celery, there's still fat in there, and there's still carbs, and there's still protein.
Sure.
The ratios change quite a bit, but there is some in everything, and there is actually no medical term for protein deficiency because nobody gets it. It's not even a concern. The
Hmm.
only time that you would ever have a protein deficiency is if you are starving and malnourished.
Sure.
So the only way you could have a protein deficiency is if you have a calorie deficiency. As long as
Okay.
you're eating enough to be satiated at every meal,
Hmm.
there is no way you're not getting enough protein. And in fact, you're probably getting too much protein, and that's what most cancers are caused by, is an excess of animal protein.
Sure.
Bodybuilders bulk up because what you want protein because it builds new cells. So when you're cutting muscle and you want to build more muscle, you want to eat a lot of protein so that you can put on mass. But if you're not doing that and you're just, or if you're eating too much protein, regardless, then you're trying to put on mass that your body can't take. And what is that? A tumor. It's it's
Sure.
basically
Sure.
it. What happens is the protein all conglomerates in some area and whatever that area is
Hmm.
becomes the type of cancer that you get. But what it is lymph backup. So acidosis. What happens is we've got our let's say blood is the food, blood is the kitchen, and our lymph system is the sewage. And there's 3 times your body is full of lymph channels and lymph nodes, and they pull out lymph is basically the poo of your cells. So the blood is the food, and the lymph is the crap. The only way to get it out is through exercise and sweating, excreting out all your pores and your eyes, front and back,
Sure.
ears, nose, mouth. All those things are ways to get it out. But most people, their lymph system is clogged because they just keep putting in more and more food, that lymph clotting foods, which is the animal milk is the worst offender. Cow's milk, eggs as well are just terrible, and so you're constantly clogging up your body's sewage system
Sure.
so that it can't get the lymph out. And so wherever the lymph gets stuck, it will become a tumor. It will become cancerous. Or at first it may be a cyst. At first it's pimples. So I mean, that crap that's coming out of your pimples, if it gets further under the skin and caught, it becomes a cyst, which is not as bad as a tumor, but that's basically the next level of a cyst.
Wow.
So, and it's all coming from lymph. Lymph is the main culprit, and lymph is the shit of your cells, which is not going through you because A, you're eating too much lymph-causing foods, animal products. B, you're not exercising enough to get it all out. It's the only way to move your lymph system is to move your body. So exercise is super important for that particular bodily system.
Sure.
And just acid alkaline balance. You need to make sure that you're always alkaline by eating lots of plants. Basically, it's the way to go.
Yeah,
the more bitter the plant, the more alkaline it probably is.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting note about the bitterness. Okay, I could see that. And you have your songs, Voluntarist Rap, Blood Rituals. Were you on that path when you wrote these songs? Like what kind of came first? You know, were you just we were talking a little bit about the diet. Were there people you looked to? You know, doctors or studies or just for your own personal just information, kind of like with Flat Earth. What started you down that?
So with the vegan and health stuff, that I've definitely been into for a long time before I started rapping. So that just became once I did once you go flat rap, and then the second rap was the Blood Rituals one. So and that when I got into the veganism and stuff, it was an opportunity for me to kind of, as a caricature, what's the word, complain about meat eaters, attack them, I guess.
Sure.
You know, I'm a nice guy. I don't want to attack people, but as a in your rap role there in a song, I can kind of let out those feelings that I have. You know, I just right out call people like a psychopathic asshole for eating meat, and I say that you have double standards and you're a hypocrite because most people, let's say they love animals and have cats or dogs, but then they eat pigs and cows and all this stuff. So I mean, there is a side of me, a very blunt side of me that would love to just say all these things to people, like, you know, the fact that you think that your taste buds are more important than that cow makes me think you're a psychopathic asshole. Honestly, that's how I feel. I'm forgiving, and you know, I was there too, and I consider myself to have had psychopathic asshole tendencies when I did the same thing, and it was what made me cry my eyes out at slaughterhouse videos, and made me, you know, spend a lot of time introspecting and deciding for myself, am I going to continue to be a hypocrite for the rest of my life, or am I going to make a change and be consistent with my actual values? It's not easy. It's not a freaking easy thing to do. And that's why I said I even had to ease into it. And I don't suggest anyone go cold turkey, even though that sentiment is beautiful. And I had it myself. I wanted to go vegan overnight for sure. You know, when I said that was the thing that got me really into it, was watch slaughterhouse videos. You were talking about, I've seen Forks Over Knives. There was vegan doctors that got me into the whole thing. I'm trying to think.
Earthlings, I think.
Top of my head. Earthlings is one. Yeah.
Okay.
So there are a bunch of good documentaries and doctors and stuff out there for people that are looking to get into this.
Tons of studies.
By the time.
Tons of studies.
Absolutely.
It isn't you. You know, that's my biggest thing too. This isn't you like making this up. You know, with, I know Diesel Automatic. He's got vegan rap and TK. A lot more of them are popping up because I think the information's out there. It's getting out there, and we're sharing it with one another. And you know, it does make sense, or it resonates with people too. They're like, yeah, it does kind of make sense that I probably shouldn't be artificially inseminating a cow so that I can drink its milk. You know what I mean? Like that whole process. I'm like, artificial insemination. Like, what a really weird way to say like rape. You know what I mean? Like that's it's such like a clinical term to like be like, oh, this is okay. It's artificial insemination. It's like, well, you wouldn't want to call that anything with humans, would you? Like, or like that's so weird. But you know, just
The industry.
being aware.
The industry name for
Yeah.
the apparatus they use when doing that is a rape rack. That's what they put the cows on when they're doing it. So I mean, the industry themselves are well aware of what they're doing. But when you talk to somebody else about it, they'll often say, "No, rape is only for humans. You know, that's not rape. That's artificial insemination." Or they'll say the same thing for murder. If you say meat is murder, only a human is murder. You know, slitting a cow's throat is something else apparently, and they're offended that you would use such a harsh word, murder or rape, for it. But it's absolutely what it is, and I recommend everybody see, you know, what actually goes on in the dairy industry and watch some of these slaughterhouse videos, stock slaughterhouse footage. I mean, it's stuff that from your country, from anywhere else. People always think, oh, well, that's how it's done somewhere else, or because mine's free range, or because it's got a happy cow on the package that it must, the slaughterhouse must look better than that. There's no good-looking slaughterhouse. And like, was it one of those Beatles said, if slaughterhouses had glass walls, everyone would be vegetarian.
Oof.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Or
For
Tolstoy
real.
also had a great quote that as long as slaughterhouses exist, there will be battlefields, which is another interesting point. If we're murdering other beings 3 times a day just for our taste pleasure, why on earth do we think that we will ever have an enlightened society enough that we wouldn't murder each other in genocides and wars? As long as we're participating in this animal genocide every single day and acting like it's something else and using these euphemisms for it. Oh, it's not murder, it's not genocide, it's not rape. Well, how are we going to expect anything but how are we to expect our masters, the elite, to treat us any better than we treat these things that we perceive as being less than us, just like we're perceived by these people that are, you know, creating this new world order and calling us goyim and all of this. You know, the peasants, you know, royalty is another thing. Royalty is just another name for supremacism. So whether it's Judaic supremacism or royal supremacism, it's the same thing. Or speciesism of eating other animals. This is all the same idea, and that's why they're all in that Blood Rituals song. It's the same idea of treating things that you perceive as inferior in a way that you wouldn't want to be treated. So we should always follow that golden rule of treating others the way we want to be treated, regardless of where they fall on the totem pole, if we think that they're less than us or not. And if you do think something or someone is less than you, you should probably check yourself more than you should check them.
Definitely. I think that's a really great point too. Yeah. As I'm trying to like read through some of the different, you know, the track list for the Flat Earth Movement album, you know, and just so many good ones too. Sharia Law, the Merry-Go-Round World, the Bruce Hitler was, for me, Bruce Hitler is one of those ones where I totally get where Dubay Step came from. You know, because like we knew you had it in you, you know, with some of the songs on here, and then Eddie Bravo Questions Everything too is another one that I kind of linked together with those, you know, where kind of that idea, those concepts behind those, and then for me, you're talking about heavy metal and, you know, when you're younger and so on, and even still being able to appreciate it is, I noticed that with Goyim Revolution had that very like industrial. I made me think of KMFDM, Rammstein, very like aggressive lyrics. Love the hook on that one. And before I believe you had it as a single, it was in one of your videos, and I ripped the video and I clipped the part for Goyim Revolution so I could play it like in my car and stuff and crank it. And I kept the you had the TV turning, and it was, you know, the TV clicks, it changes over, and it's like Simeon Van Yochai says that even the best among the Gentiles deserves to be, what is it? Deserves to be killed or something like that. Killed. Deserves to be. And the way you edited that together, and then that chugging like heavy like industrial intro, it just hits so hard, and very very informational. That's what I like about your music too. You know, you do have a great sense of humor about yourself, and it's been, you know, really awesome even talking to you like this. You know, get some good laughs in, or kind of just be, you know, very natural, but I like that too with your rap too, that very informative. Great. You have a great taste. Hack the Planet. I think I was listening to that the other day too, and it hits totally different. Just I was in my car, and the way I was kind of going through the sound system was just, man, made me really appreciate and have respect for the work that you put into your craft.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that one. I was in the middle of the Dubay dubstep album, and I was just fiddling around, and I came up with that more techno sounding thing that one was doing, and I was like, what am I gonna do with this? And and right around that time, I love that movie Hackers. I've loved that movie.
Sure.
I don't know why. It's a pretty bad movie. There's so much you can critique. It's one of those good bad movies. I have a few of those. I like movies that are so bad they're good. And then there was that line, hack the planet. And their whole thing in the end was to get all the hackers to unite so that they could overrun the Gibson system there that was trying to frame them. And well, I was just thinking of the whole planet and how I hate that word now, and how we've been taught that that's what we live on.
Yeah.
And so the idea of hack the planet in a flat Earth context is like, oh yeah. So hack the plane. Oh yeah. In I think the first frame of it, I crossed out the T.
Sure.
But then just used all those clips where they're saying hack the planet, and then showed different activism and stuff, because that's one of the things I wanted to promote with the music is direct and indirect activism. There's so many things that we can do to spread the word, because it's so important. We really need to keep pushing this flat Earth message. Flatten the curve. Anybody else think that that's beyond coincidence? That as the flat Earth movement was becoming huge, that COVID hits, lockdown, everyone, social distancing, wear masks, and we gotta flatten the curve.
Yeah, flatten the curve.
Haven't we been doing that for years?
Yeah.
Isn't that what you're scared of?
Yeah. And there was a channel, there was a YouTube channel called Flatten the Curve. All of a sudden, they posted a video or something that was like, I thought there was I've been subbed to them, and you know how it's like, you get so, bombarded with different notifications and stuff like that. All of a sudden it's like, I thought, where did Flatten the Curve come from? I knew it. It's like, wow, they're just going to steal all of our shit.
Right? Throw it in our face.
Yeah.
It sure feels to me like they're pushing their plan, their agenda as fast as they can. And I think it's in big part, not just the Flat Earth movement, but a lot, the pedophile exposure, the Hollywood exposure, Epstein and all these other things that are now going mainstream. I think they're feeling the pressure, and there's a lot of organic grassroots kind of activism happening, and that's why they're doing stuff like BLM and stuff. They're putting their own supposed activist groups together, so that like back in the 60s when there was all these organic militias and Black Panthers and stuff. They don't want Black Panthers, so they'll okay, Black Lives Matter or whatever. Let's get something that we can control out there before something we can't control takes over the the minds of the people. So I think there's a lot of that kind of subversion going on, and distraction is the name of the game. So it's important that people that know how flat the Earth is and how important it is to teach that we don't get lost, that we don't lose sight of that, and keep pushing this, because it's like a snowball going down the mountain. It's at the point now where you can't stop it, and it's gaining momentum and gaining snow. The ball's getting huge. And we just need to keep running behind it, giving it pushes as we can, because once it gets to the bottom of this valley, it's going to crush the New World Order. It's the only thing that can. It's the ultimate lie they've told us. And once the entire world realizes that the entire education system, media system is lying about not only the flat Earth, but all statism, evolution, all these other myths that are tied into this one myth, they get re-examined, and as a collective we can start putting new systems in place to outdate all this other stuff. Fighting the system's not going to work, obviously. Protesting isn't what we need to do. What we need to do is wake people up, and then once people are awake, we need to create new, use our creativity to create new systems. Like for instance, people are doing with YouTube. Came up against a wall. Everyone's getting banned left, right, and center, but Facebook as well, and other social media. And what's happening now? There are new video sharing and Facebook-like sites with truth and free speech as their central pillar,
Yeah.
popping up all over the place now. So the people that are awake are proactively doing things to make this old mode outdated. That's exactly the way progress works, not by fighting the behemoth and trying
Yeah.
to get the authority to change themselves or whatever, as if that has ever
Right.
changed anything in history.
Yeah.
The only way to do it is mass awakening, which is step one,
Mhm.
and we're still working on that. And
Yeah.
then once you yourself are awakened, step two is finding creative outlets in your own life to counteract the system and create proactive ways to help other people get out of the system as well, which is
Yeah.
happening now. And that's the answer to people thinking, like, what do we have to do? Well, keep spreading the word and keep creatively coming up with proactive solutions for things that we need.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been recording a little bit more with the brain cell, and he has a line about that too. But the only problem about being in the system is, you got to spread the virus to break it down. But the only problem is you got to be inside the system. So we got to use the tools they have. So it did start with YouTube, and then once they start to take that away, it's like, well, we'll figure it out. The truth is so powerful. We'll share that message, and then yeah, you've done such a great job with the knowledge. You created such a solid foundation, in my opinion, for everyone to help move that along. You have so many great, 200 proofs that people can go forward, and you can tell people, and that's it's really great. It's very solid. It isn't a lot of speculation. Like we were talking about with earlier conspiracies. These are the proofs. Here are the facts. Do with it what you will. You're not gonna like it at first. It's a bummer, but I'm seeing more and more people kind of warm up to it. It's eliminating the social cost of even talking about flat Earth, and it's okay to question things. I laugh. I got a couple things I want to bring up before we'll close on COVID. Is I had a laugh that they're like, oh, there's water, definitive proof. There's water on the moon. I was like, it hurt my eyes to roll them so hard. I was like, big announcement about the moon. I'm like, whatever. It's like water on the moon, okay. And then what was the other one? My friend at work who were talking. Is it the Three Gorge Dam in China? Is like,
The long
yeah,
bridge.
it's like, yeah, is that what it is? It's one of the biggest dams in the entire world. There's over in China. It's so backed up. There's so much water that it slowed the rotation of the Earth. It was really hard for me to not respond to that. I was like, if you think that's true, we're like, I can't. There's no. You know what? I'm just gonna leave this one alone. Okay.
That's a good
The
one.
backed up water. I'm just like, my head
Pretty
was
sure
gonna
Neil-
explode.
Pretty sure Neil Tyson made a tweet a year or two ago about like a Super Bowl field goal kick, and he was claiming that the reason it missed had to do with the spin of the Earth.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't remember the whole thing, but it's there. There's some tweet where he's claiming
Yeah.
some sporting event
Oh my
missed their
gosh.
goal based on the spin of the Earth.
Yeah, it is just ridiculous to like, oh man, it's, you know what? I'm happy I'm in my reality. You can keep your version. Like, I'm good. I'm over here. Everything is as it is. So, no, and we touched on a lot of the really focal points of the album, which is really great. Your inspirations. Now, okay, we brought up COVID. Where are you at? Where's it at by you? Are you being kind of compelled anything musically out there, motivated by it or not really? What's life for you right now in the middle of this?
I am doing another album with DJ Rob Instinct, and we actually we've got a couple songs in the works now, and they've been in the works for quite a while, even before COVID hit, and I was talking about pharmaceuticals and mandatory vaccines and stuff, so it just became super relevant, and we haven't even released that particular song I'm thinking of yet.
Sure.
But I think we may actually do a full Corona song as well, just only on that as well. Like I said, it's the best way to get censored on YouTube now.
Yeah,
Say
yeah.
anything against the standard line about COVID, and it is gone. A video out called "The Flu World Order," and YouTube banned it within the first hour of uploading it. And all these doctors saying, there's a bunch of doctors coming out saying that
Yeah.
The numbers are wrong, there's false positives, all this stuff.
Yeah.
They just get erased from YouTube the second they get uploaded.
Yeah.
So they are really going hard about this, fake news.
Yeah.
Since when did Facebook or YouTube or anyone get the gall to be able to decide for everyone else what is or isn't fake news?
Yeah.
I find that disgusting that they come up, they have what do they call them? Fact checkers, I think that's what they call them on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So they hire random people.
Mm-hmm.
So just these randos, they have better discernment than me. Like,
yeah.
They have to decide for Eric Dubay what Eric Dubay can watch. Like,
yeah.
I like my own discernment, thank you very much. I don't want somebody called a fact checker deciding what can and can't come across my screen because they've deemed it not true. Oh, flat Earth is not true, so you can't see it. This fact checker decided.
Yeah.
No thanks.
And they pick the minuscule thing. They'll pick the wording. Well, it's not always, or it's not this, or like, I'm just like, dude, these are doctors, these are scientists coming out saying this. I didn't make this up in my basement. Like, well, no, it's probably just this. No, we're sharing. Whistleblowers, people are coming out, from China, from the labs, from, it's just like, what do you want me to do? It makes more sense, follow the money. These are really simple. Now the conspiracies are simple. Earth's flat, whoa. That was a huge one. Now they're really simple. Follow the money. What are they censoring? What it's just so obvious. So it's like, okay, they'll pull your YouTube videos down, but how many people have to report all the child porn and all the other stuff that's out there, or the pedophilia or access to for pedophiles and stuff like that. Facebook groups, and then it's like, oh, it's hate speech to speak out about people. Love is love. It's like, okay, wow. You know what? I'm glad I think the Earth's flat. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, man. It's so bad that, like, now on Facebook, owned by Zuckerberg, you cannot even in a private message send a link to the greatest story never told website or that video.
Oh.
It's a 6-hour documentary about how Hitler was not such a bad guy. Yeah. And on Jewish-owned Facebook, you can't even private message that website to somebody.
Wow.
And on YouTube, you can no longer say the word. You can't comment the word YouTube. Your comment will be deleted. You can't say the word Jew. All my comments that say the word Jew are deleted. You can't type JOO. That gets deleted.
Sure.
I just tried yesterday. J00.
Oh.
J00. Deleted. Gone. Instantly. I reloaded the page. J00 is gone. So then, fourth time I did it, I just wrote Masons. Fine. Comment's still there. We're all set.
Okay.
Yeah, same with Jesuits.
Oh,
fine.
Sure,
you can say Jesuits all day long.
Okay.
Apparently that's fun. And, I'm not saying Jesuits and Masons aren't part of it, because they totally are.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't it interesting that there's this other part of the bit that most people, like the people that are, it's all the Jesuits. If you say anything about the JEW people, suddenly you're like controlled opposition or something.
Right, and that's
if you're like me and you say it's all of the above.
Yeah.
But then why is only this certain one being censored? Obviously, there's acceptable places to point the finger and unacceptable places to point the finger.
Yeah.
And I'm saying point the finger at all of them, because I've found plenty of evidence that it's coming from all angles. It's not just one, it's not just one or the other. It's and.
Right. And that's what keeps it going. And that's
and they'll come. Well, just like think about like the Rockefellers or like Monsanto or one of the other companies. Anytime these companies get black water, anytime they get in heavy heat, you just rebrand. They just come up with a new name, or Firestone, or Bridgestone. They just come up with a new name, or 3 or 4 different companies, and then you don't even know that they're all owned by the same parent company that you thought you were boycotting. But you can't boycott them anymore because they're no longer seen anywhere. They're behind the scenes. So that's happening a lot as well.
Oh yeah, totally. Even with Bayer and Monsanto, right? It's like we'll just no, it's a trip. It's a trip. That's awesome to hear that you've got more music in the works. I think before the end of the year, that would be pretty soon to have something done. Do you have like a timeline, a time frame for that next album? I know it's tough.
No, it's kind of like playing it by ear. Yeah, I think DJ Rob over there, he's been hit hard with, lifestyle changes through COVID, so it's kind of I'm just gonna I'm not gonna put any deadlines or dates on anything and play it by ear.
Yeah.
I've got plenty of other video ideas besides music and stuff. I've got I have way more ideas than I have time to produce stuff anyway, so I'm certainly not lacking in that department. So I'll just take it slow, and at some point that album will be done. The other one I was talking about will be done. I just plan on continuing. I think this is a lifelong struggle, to be honest. I would have loved for this thing to be something you could just spread the word about and it be over, and we can just live in not a new normal. The old normal. old normal, still normal. Pre-old normal. Old normal is already the world order.
Yeah.
I watch some of these videos, like they show like New York from 1917 or Paris in 1893. They've got these like great compilation videos from what the world used to be like, and I just sit there. I actually cry sometimes. I can't even explain what it is about it. There's just something about seeing the humanity of people and what it feels we've lost. Humanity, compassion, attention. We're just so distracted and selfish and lost in our own worlds that even just watching people on the street from 100 years ago, I feel like there's this quality of humanity about them that is completely gone from modern society, and I lament it to tears, and I confuse myself even watching, just like what is wrong with me? I wish I was born 100 years ago.
Right. I need to write about dry hymen live vaginas. This is killing me. I'm too sad.
Make you feel better. That's kind of funny, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I wonder, and in that time, if you wanted information, you had to interact with the person. Word of mouth, passing on traditions, and so on. Oral history. I kind of am working on a couple lyrics that mention that history should be oral of that. Where now you can get so much information. I'm guilty of this too. Of you're getting information from basically just anonymous sources online. There's no real face to it. So I don't know. A lot of this could just be, that's what's the big thing now. Again, still they brought back Russian propaganda or Russian interference, or they always have a bad guy. Zombies won't work yet, so it's got to be Russians. They're saving zombies for later.
Right. Yeah. That's why you want to corroborate and not look for like a certain figurehead that you think and hope is trustworthy. Even myself, just look at you should be your end. Determiner of everything. And if something hasn't passed your own sniff test, if you haven't gotten enough evidence, I recommend holding things in that limbo in your brain, because you don't have to have a definite answer for everything. Isn't that what the scientific method actually is? It's that you never actually come to a full conclusion. You're just always experimenting and further refining the results to get closer to what the truth must be. If you approach conspiracy research in that way, in that scientific way, then you don't just fall down a rabbit hole and then start telling your friend, oh, it's this way, it's this. Well, this guy said this. That's, you're going too far, you're too fast when you do that. Look at everything as possibilities, and don't think of anything as set in stone unless, it's as objective as, say, the flat Earth. I mean, that's my standard now for truth. It's because you can test it all day, every day, in a myriad of ways, and it always comes out the same. So it's unlike most conspiratorial truths we're trying to get to the bottom of. You just can't scientifically get to them in that way.
Right.
But you can use that same kind of method in your research, and not just by hook, line, and sinker, whatever the new fad theory is, and just hold them all there without being too conclusive. I think that's the big problem, is people, they believe whatever they were told right away, and then some people, their mind gets blown open too wide, and then they'll believe whatever the next person says. Oh, now this is real. And whoa, hold on.
Right.
This is the thing that got you into trouble in the first place, where you just bought wholesale whatever somebody said, and you're okay, this is what it is. Now you're just doing it again. So no, let's learn from the first time.
Get like a QAnon tattoo. Oh, no. Hold on.
Good example.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I find that to be hope porn on a whole new level.
Yeah.
Where it's like people just, they want to believe that somebody's out there as a savior
Mm-hmm.
doing everything for them. And then if you point out anything that goes against their narrative, they're like, it's 5D chess. You don't understand. Trump's doing it. He's, he can't say what he's really doing and all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's a great psyop to get people to do nothing, to just believe that the political, I mean, and it's Alex Jones and them that's pushing it. The same guy that used to be telling you that the two-party system is fake and martial law is bad is now telling you that you should vote for this party and martial law is good because we need it for COVID, and Trump's got it for Operation Warp Speed for the vaccines, and we all need to get 100 million vaccines fast as we can. What?
Yeah.
How? Right. Alex Jones in the past 10 years, he's changed. I mean, he was already full of disinformation 10 years ago, but now it's just overloaded with disinformation.
Yeah.
But noobs, same thing. Alex Jones is one of the loudest voices saying alternative information, and a lot of it is right. A lot of it is correct. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people, they find the loudest voice saying it, and they fall out of the frying pan and into that fire, and then they get stuck there, as I did for years. I used to watch his listen to his show every single day, and he was my favorite go-to guy.
Sure.
Until things started. The flat Earth. I started seeing the moon landing. I started seeing the whole Jewish question. I started seeing, and then I noticed how Alex absolutely gatekeeps all three of those and many more. And then I started to go beyond, Alex Jones, and realize that there's no way that he so expertly gatekeeps all of these issues innocently. Without knowing.
Yeah.
So, and that's when the fall of your heroes comes, when you're like, wait a minute. So the guy that I thought woke me up and was exposing and fighting the system, he has to be part of it. He must be part of it. Because if he wasn't, he would at least be open to these things, or at least be impartial. But he's not. He's absolutely against certain things. And it's that way with many conspiracy figurehead people.
Yeah.
Once you get, researched enough, you can start to see where people's line in the sand is, and if they have a reason not to go beyond it, a lot of people have a hidden reason, let's say, not to go beyond that.
Sure. If Alex Jones thinks that the water turns frogs gay, man, what does he think the vaccine's going to do? There's super gay frogs out there, man. No, it's been great. I've had awesome chats with you. Steve Grant is the same way. He doesn't do labels about information, discernment. There's a lot of disinformation out there. I had one of the lines where it's, how do you say we're in a cult when we're nothing but leaders? Look at how many, all your information, people grew or expanded on it or used it in their own take. It just popped up all these channels. So people were so interested. It wasn't like, now I think that is another thing that probably makes it so tough to recoup the millions that you had for views and subscribers, is now everyone's like, well, I'm already so busy doing my own thing, I feel like there should be a lot of credit for you for that, so.
I mean, I like what you said about the, we're all leaders, and that's more than me getting, what I would love is that everybody just figured this out, and that it was common knowledge to the point that my name and my information was just whatever. Yeah, Eric Dubay, whatever. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
I would much rather live in that world than the world where everything's so messed up and nobody is speaking out, so that this name Eric Dubay has to be like a thing. I don't like that. I don't like living in that world, actually. I would much rather live in a world where all the information that you can find from that I've now become like a keyword, Eric Dubay, it's a keyword now. I would rather have all that information be out there in a way that it would just all be known. But they've destroyed the keyword Eric Dubay, as well as flat earth and dinosaurs debunked and all of these things. Like you said, you can type in Eric Dubay, dinosaurs never existed, and you probably won't find my video or my channel.
Nope.
You're just going to find a bunch of paleontologists and all this other stuff supposedly debunking it and whatnot.
It's all hit pieces.
And that's, they've totally, and it wasn't like that before. They have changed up the algorithm so that it prioritizes all of these mainstream type channels And it's really hard to find, not just mine, but any channels that are giving this kind of information. They've completely hidden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They find a way. Anything that seems to be organic, even when it was YouTube, and I was like, at first it seemed so innocent, like, oh, I like video games. You click on a video, then they recommend another video, and it's great. And that's, how, like we talked earlier, I came across your channel, where anytime there's anything that might seem organic like that or that really works, they flip it. So, like with the adpocalypse, they're like, well, we don't need those ads. We'll just double up the ads on stuff we think is okay. If I click on anything you were talking about, alternative news, right below it is something from Fox, is something from CBS, is something from CNN. It's theirs right there. Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, that's who all was their recommended. It was all their people. I'm like, this is so mess. Like, it's all pay to play. You losing the sharing, the natural of the sharing of the information, people coming across things on their own. Now it's like, oh wow, here's a song I was listening to on Spotify, and now YouTube wants me to watch the music video for it. Wow, that's really weird. How did they know that?
Right. Meanwhile, my entire first album that we've been talking about is banned on YouTube and Spotify and all major streaming services.
I was just looking for it because I was going to do the track list. I'm like, well, I'll have it on Spotify and I'll go through it, and I have it on my phone. But yeah, I couldn't find any of those. So I think Amazon maybe had the album or something for sale, but
SoundCloud. I have it for free. You can listen to everything on SoundCloud, but there's just no streaming service that will carry it now. I've been banned from Bandcamp and CD Baby for it.
Sure. Yeah, it is such a pain, but it's so glad to hear. You're still fighting. You've been making videos. I watched your one about the telekinesis. I thought that was really interesting. So it's great. It's great to see the content coming from you and that you got music coming out. Do you have, anything else you kind of want to, what would tie all this together for you? You feel like this is pretty good?
Oh, this has been great, man. No, thanks. I think this has been a great interview, and I'll just say in closing my websites, if anybody wants more information, ericdubay.com is really the best place to go because I've got menus for videos, music, books, articles, all the different types of content I have is all linked there. I also have the blog atlanteanconspiracy.com. It's not quite as well navigable as the website though. And then there's ifers.123.st, which is the International Flat Earth Research Society forum, which we've got, I think, getting around 7,000 maybe members now, and just a lot of good threads on flat Earth and other conspiratorial topics. If people want to join that.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll make sure I'll put all those links in the description. I always have the one for IFERS. I'll make sure I get the other ones in there too. Get people over there. It's really awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. And for the people watching this, thanks for checking this one out. Have a good one.